They say a prophet rarely gets respect in his own land. History has proven that line again and again. But every once in a while, life throws a twist so wild that even the loudest critics go silent for a moment. That twist just landed, and it landed like a diplomatic thunderbolt. Imagine this: while one part of the world treats a man like a permanent enemy of the state, another powerful part of the world is rolling out the red carpet and calling him an honored citizen. That's exactly what is playing out right now with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You saw the headline. You felt that little shock in your chest. The kind that makes you read twice just to confirm your eyes aren't lying to you. This isn't gossip. This isn't WhatsApp rumor. This isn't one of those recycled blog fabrications. This is official. Documented. Signed. Sealed. As we wake up to this stunning development in January 2026, the contrast could not be sharper. Back home, he remains locked away under extremely harsh conditions, facing a future painted with heavy sentences and endless legal battles. But thousands of miles away, across the Atlantic Ocean, the state of Georgia in the United States has just honored him as an honorary citizen and a goodwill ambassador. Let that sink in. One government says, this man is dangerous. Another government says, this man represents goodwill. Same person. Two completely different narratives. That alone should make anyone curious enough to watch this story till the very end. Now here's where it gets even more dramatic. The proclamation didn't come from some random group or private organization. It came directly from the office of Georgia's Secretary of State, officially signed and recorded. This means the paperwork carries legal and diplomatic weight. It's not symbolic fanfare. It's an actual government declaration. And the wording of that document. That's where the real message hides. It doesn't just celebrate him as an honorary citizen. It goes further. It recognizes him as a goodwill ambassador and formally requests that he be treated with courtesy in his travels, across states, across nations, and wherever he may reside in the future. That phrase alone is powerful. It quietly assumes freedom of movement. You cannot realistically assign a goodwill ambassador who is expected to travel the world while being locked behind prison walls. It's a polite sentence, but the implication is loud. In plain language, it feels like Georgia is saying, we see this man as someone who should be moving freely, engaging the world, and representing positive causes. That alone flips the entire narrative upside down. Think about the irony for a moment. In Nigeria, he's treated as a permanent threat. In Atlanta, he's being recognized as a respected figure. One side paints him dark. Another side paints him bright. That contradiction alone is enough to confuse critics and energize supporters all at once. And let's be honest, you don't make someone a goodwill ambassador if you genuinely believe they're a terrorist. Governments are careful with titles. They protect their reputations fiercely. No serious authority wants international embarrassment. So this move sends a loud message without shouting a single word. It subtly challenges the label that has followed him for years. It questions the narrative that he is unfit for global respect. It reframes him not as a criminal figure, but as a leader figure, whether people like it or not. If you're feeling that spark of hope rising in your chest right now, you're not alone. This is the kind of development that shifts conversations in living rooms, on social media, in political circles, and even inside diplomatic offices. And yes, this is the kind of moment where supporters start believing that something bigger is unfolding behind the scenes. Now let's zoom out and look at the bigger chessboard. Recently, political figures have been making quiet visits and conversations around his case, signaling that something may be brewing beyond the public eye. Now suddenly, an American state steps in with an honor that carries international symbolism. Coincidence? Maybe. Coordination? Possibly. Strategic timing? Very likely. When you start seeing moves from different angles pointing in the same direction, you know the board is shifting. Here's another angle people must understand clearly: honorary citizenship does not mean automatic American passport, military protection, or diplomatic immunity. But what it does mean is status, visibility, political sensitivity. It elevates the conversation from a domestic matter into something that attracts international attention and questions. If anything serious were to happen to him while in custody, heaven forbid, it wouldn't remain a local issue anymore. Questions would come from political offices abroad. Statements would be demanded. Explanations would be required. It changes the weight of responsibility completely. And that's exactly why this matters. This recognition also opens doors. If one US state can publicly honor him, what stops other states? What stops international organizations? What stops European countries or political bodies from stepping in with their own recognitions? Once that door opens, the narrative becomes harder to contain. History shows us how this script can evolve. Many global icons were once branded dangerous until international pressure forced a re-evaluation. The same pattern played out in different eras, different continents, different political systems. Labels can collapse when global perception shifts. Timing also makes this story even more explosive. Nigeria's political atmosphere remains tense. Emotions are high. The Southeast remains sensitive. Stability matters, not just locally but internationally. Global powers don't enjoy instability in strategic regions. They prefer predictable environments for trade, security, and influence. Sometimes, pressure is applied quietly through diplomatic symbolism instead of loud public threats. Soft power can be louder than megaphones. This move also gives his legal team fresh leverage. In any future legal arguments, international petitions, or human rights engagements, this recognition becomes part of the narrative. It introduces a new layer of credibility in global perception. It raises serious questions about consistency, proportionality, and political motivations behind prolonged detention. And now the real suspense kicks in. What will the Nigerian government do next? Will they brush this off as irrelevant? Will they view it as foreign interference? Or will they quietly begin looking for a political exit that saves face while reducing tension? Will this become a bridge to negotiation, compromise, or even eventual release? Nobody knows yet, and that uncertainty is exactly what keeps this story gripping. This isn't just about one man anymore. It's about international optics, domestic stability, political calculations, and historical legacy. It's about how narratives collide when power centers disagree on who a person truly is. Some will call this a game changer. Some will dismiss it as paper politics. Some will celebrate. Some will panic. But one thing is undeniable, the conversation has shifted. The chessboard is moving. The pressure is rising. The spotlight is getting brighter. And the world is watching closely. Now over to you. Do you believe this recognition could finally crack open the prison gates? Or do you think it will be ignored like previous international reactions? Is this the beginning of a turning point, or just another dramatic headline that fades away? Drop your thoughts. Let's talk.